Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to kick off our presentation today with a focus on how to stay curious in a world that often pretends to know all the answers. Today's talk is titled, How to Stay Curious in a World That Pretends to Know. We'll explore ways to nurture our curiosity, even when it feels like everything is already understood. Over the next few slides, we'll dive into practical strategies and insights to keep that sense of wonder alive. So let's get started. We live in an age where answers are everywhere. It often feels like everyone is sure about things, whether it's politics, productivity, parenting, or even finding inner peace. If you scroll through social media or read the news long enough, you'll see confidence being sold in all sorts of flavors and packages. But here's the interesting part. True curiosity doesn't really flourish in a world that pretends to have all the answers. Instead, it tends to shrink away. Because real curiosity actually begins where certainty ends. When we're too sure of ourselves, there's little room for wonder or exploration. It's in those moments of uncertainty, of not knowing, that curiosity truly comes alive. And that's a crucial connection to understand as we explore how to nurture curiosity in our lives. Today, I want to talk about how staying curious is actually an act of quiet rebellion. It's about making a conscious decision to keep learning, even when it might seem like everyone else has stopped listening or has already decided they know enough. Curiosity, in this context, becomes a form of resistance, a way to challenge the status quo. In a world that often pretends to have all the answers, choosing to stay curious means you're refusing to accept surface-level knowledge. It's about digging deeper, asking questions, and maintaining that sense of wonder no matter how much information is readily available or how confident others might seem. This mindset helps us stay engaged and innovative, even when the environment feels dismissive or stagnant. So, as we move forward, I want us to think about how we can keep that spirit alive, how to stay curious in a world that often pretends to know it all. In the age of answers, certainty has become all around us. It's almost as if we live in a world where every question has a clear, definitive response. This can give us a sense of stability and confidence, but it also shapes how we approach knowledge and learning. However, amidst this landscape of certainty, curiosity has become quite rare. It's less common to see people asking questions, exploring new ideas, or challenging the status quo. Instead, many of us are content with what we already know, which can limit growth and innovation. This contrast highlights a key challenge in our current environment. While certainty is easily accessible and pervasive, curiosity, the driving force behind discovery and progress, is fading. Recognizing this imbalance is important because, as we move forward in this presentation, we'll explore how fostering curiosity can lead to deeper understanding and more meaningful engagement with the world around us. This has created a strange paradox. We are drowning in information but starved for discovery. We often mistake access to data for actual understanding, and we confuse speed with true insight. Psychologists call this the illusion of explanatory depth. That's the belief that we understand things better than we really do. For example, if I ask you to explain how a zipper works or how Wi-Fi travels through the air, you might realize that your understanding isn't as complete as you thought. The illusion cracks open, and you see that you only knew enough to use these things, not to truly grasp their inner workings. This is what we call the illusion of knowing. It's a common phenomenon, and recognizing it is key to moving beyond surface-level knowledge toward genuine understanding. Curiosity thrives in the crack between what we think we know and what's actually true. This means that our curiosity is often sparked when we encounter a gap or a mismatch, something that challenges our assumptions or beliefs. It's that space where our current understanding doesn't fully explain what we observe or experience. And it's in this space, this little crack, that new questions emerge, pushing us to explore further. This is really important because it highlights how curiosity isn't just about knowing more, but about recognizing the limits of what we already believe. When we identify that gap, that's when real learning begins. So, in the bigger picture, understanding this dynamic helps us foster a mindset of openness and continuous inquiry, which is essential for growth and innovation. Curiosity isn't about childlike naivety or simply a lack of knowledge. Instead, it's best understood as disciplined wonder. It's a focused and intentional way of engaging with the world around us. Now, this kind of curiosity has three key dimensions. The first is openness. That's the willingness to encounter the unknown without feeling threatened or defensive. It's about being receptive rather than resistant to new ideas or unfamiliar territory. The second dimension is inquiry. This is the habit of asking deeper, more meaningful questions rather than settling for quick or superficial answers. It's about digging beneath the surface to really understand what's going on. And third, reflection. This is the capacity to sit with partial answers, to be comfortable with not having everything figured out right away. It's about resisting the urge to rush to closure and instead allowing space for ongoing discovery. When you combine these three dimensions, openness, inquiry, and reflection, you get what I like to call the curiosity loop. It's a continuous cycle of disciplined wonder that fuels growth and learning. So remember, curiosity isn't just a childlike trait. It's a disciplined, deliberate practice that can deepen our understanding and expand our horizons. Let's take a closer look at the curiosity loop. This concept is really central to understanding how we can effectively engage our audience. Essentially, it's about creating a cycle where curiosity leads to interest, which then prompts action, and that action, in turn, fuels even more curiosity. It's a continuous feedback loop that keeps people engaged and eager to learn more. The key point here is that by leveraging curiosity, we can guide our audience through a journey, from sparking initial interest all the way to motivating them to take the next step. This loop is powerful because it taps into our natural desire to fill gaps in our knowledge and satisfy our curiosity. Connecting this to the overall theme of the presentation, the curiosity loop reminds us that engagement isn't just about delivering information. It's about creating a dynamic experience. When we design our messages to stimulate curiosity, we foster a deeper connection and a more memorable interaction. So, understanding and applying this loop can really elevate how we communicate and influence our audience. Let's talk about curiosity at its core as humility in motion. What does that really mean? Well, it's about understanding that the more we learn, the more we realize how much we don't know. It's a humbling experience because every new discovery or piece of knowledge reveals the edges of our ignorance. And in doing so, it keeps us open, eager, and alive to the mysteries that still surround us. This idea ties into the overall theme of embracing continuous growth and understanding. Curiosity isn't just about gathering facts. It's about cultivating a mindset that stays humble and curious, always seeking to explore further and deeper. Because in recognizing what we don't know, we stay motivated to learn more, to push boundaries, and to remain connected to the wonder of discovery. So, in essence, curiosity becomes a dynamic act of humility, movement in the pursuit of understanding. And that keeps our mind vibrant and receptive to the endless mysteries of the world. So, how do we nurture this discipline of curiosity in our daily lives, especially in a world that often rewards quick opinions rather than genuine inquiry? Well, the key is that curiosity has to be cultivated intentionally. It doesn't happen by accident. We need to make a conscious effort to practice it every day. There are 5 core practices that can really help us develop and sustain curiosity. First, ask one question longer. Instead of rushing through questions, take the time to explore them more deeply. Second, build wonder breaks into your day, moments where you pause and simply wonder about something without rushing to an answer. Third, focus on reading people rather than just data. Pay attention to the human stories and emotions behind the facts. Fourth, name your blind spots. Be aware of areas where your perspective might be limited and actively seek to expand them. And finally, protect your "I don't know." Embrace the uncertainty and view it as an opportunity for discovery rather than a weakness. Practicing these 5 habits can help us keep curiosity alive, making it a vital part of how we learn, grow, and connect with others. Remember, it's a deliberate effort, but the payoff is a richer, more engaged way of approaching the world around us. Most people tend to stop at the first layer of questioning, asking what or who. It's natural, right? We want quick answers. But if we really want to gain deeper understanding, we need to stay a little longer. We need to ask why and how come. That extra layer of questioning is where insight begins to take shape. It's where we uncover the real motivations, the underlying causes, and the bigger picture. And here's a tip. Try asking one question longer. Don't rush through it. Give yourself the space to explore that next level. That's often where the most valuable insights live, when we go beyond surface answers and dig deeper. So, by staying curious and asking longer, more thoughtful questions, we open the door to understanding more fully and making smarter decisions. Once a week, I encourage you to pick something completely unrelated to your work or your comfort zone. It could be a craft, a different culture, or even a question you've never thought to ask before. The key is to learn about it simply because you're curious, with no other goal in mind. This approach helps us nurture genuine curiosity, which is often stifled when everything is constantly being monetized or turned into a profit. By building these wonder breaks, we create space for wonder and discovery in our lives. And as we do this regularly, we keep our minds open and our creativity flowing, which ultimately supports the overall theme of embracing curiosity and continuous growth. Every person you meet has something to teach you, even if it's not something groundbreaking. It might be small, but it's real, and that's a really valuable perspective. Practicing genuine listening allows us to really hear what others are saying, beyond just waiting to speak ourselves. When we listen authentically, it softens our ego because we're not just focusing on ourselves or trying to prove a point. Instead, we're opening up to new insights. It also sharpens our minds because we're actively learning from those around us. This idea of reading people, not just data, ties into the broader theme of effective communication and emotional intelligence. It's about understanding that human connection goes beyond facts and figures. When we tune into the person behind the words, we gain richer insights and build more meaningful relationships. So, remember, every interaction is an opportunity to learn something new. Practice listening genuinely, and you'll find it transforms your perspective and your effectiveness as a communicator. All right, let's take a moment to reflect on something important. Think about 3 things you often pretend to understand but actually don't. Maybe it's a technical concept, a process at work, or even a personal skill you haven't fully grasped yet. The idea here is to identify those blind spots we all have. Once you've written down those 3 things, pick one to actually learn about. That's where curiosity kicks in, when we move from pretense to real understanding. Remember, curiosity begins where pretense ends. By doing this, we not only expand our knowledge, but we also become more genuine and confident in our abilities. This approach ties back to the overall theme of the presentation, embracing growth through self-awareness and continuous learning. So, I encourage you to be honest with yourself and take that first step toward true understanding. When I say I don't know, it's often misunderstood as a sign of weakness. But really, it's quite the opposite. It's actually an invitation, a chance to learn, to be curious, and to see things from a new perspective. It's a powerful stance that opens the door to growth. These habits we're talking about aren't just about piling up more facts or knowledge. Instead, they're about cultivating better attention, being truly present and aware of what's around us. By protecting our I don't know, we create space for curiosity and deeper understanding. So I encourage you to see I don't know not as a gap or a flaw, but as a valuable opportunity to learn and expand your mindset. Curiosity is not a luxury. It's actually a crucial survival skill for anyone who wants to thrive in complex situations. It serves as the most reliable compass we have, guiding us through uncertainty and chaos. When we stay curious, we keep our minds flexible and open to new ideas. It also helps us keep our egos in check because we recognize there's always more to learn, and that humility keeps us grounded. Plus, curiosity keeps our hearts awake, ensuring we stay engaged and empathetic in what we do. In a world that often pretends to know everything, staying curious is a form of resistance. It's about not falling into the trap of certainty, which can make us complacent or overconfident. Instead, it's about walking through life not as an expert who always has the answers, but as an explorer who is constantly discovering and questioning. That sense of wonder and humility makes us more adaptable and resilient. The truly curious person isn't afraid of being wrong. They understand that discovery is more valuable than simply being right or having dominance. When we embrace curiosity, we open ourselves to growth and new perspectives. And as I mentioned before, curiosity keeps the mind flexible, the ego humble, and the heart alert. It's an essential trait for thoughtful individuals who want to navigate the complexities of life effectively. They understand that what we know is always provisional, and that wonder is the only reliable compass through complexity. So, I want to encourage you to stay curious, especially when it's unfashionable. Because curiosity, more than just accumulating knowledge, is what keeps us truly alive to the world around us. It's what helps us see beyond the surface and appreciate the deeper layers of understanding. And here's the key point. The moment we stop asking questions, we stop truly seeing. We become static, limited in our perspective, and less open to new possibilities. So I urge you to stay curious, especially when it's unfashionable, because that's when it matters most. That's when growth happens, when innovation sparks, and when we remain connected to the wonder of discovery. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this presentation, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment with your thoughts. I want to leave you with one final idea. How to New is really about inner athletics. It's not about competing against others, it's about striving for excellence within ourselves. It's about pushing our own boundaries, improving our mindset, and cultivating resilience. Remember, the real challenge is mastering ourselves, not others. So, I encourage you to take these concepts and apply them in your own journey toward inner growth. Thanks again for being here, and I hope you found value in this.